How Ballou got me to build his distortion pedal. The name Converge was always omnipresent in my past of searching for extreme music that I liked. It wasn't heavy enough at the time. I was looking for overtly heavy. There was an opportunity to see then in Philadelphia in September of 2021 at the Decibel Metal and Beer Fest. Ballou, his tone was just absolutely incredible, and the live setting of Converge was immersive. And hearing his tone and everything, I wanted to emulate it, obviously. And for a person of, let's say, minimal soldering skills, I've repaired some amplifiers, and I've also worked on guitar pickups and things of that nature, but I've never built a pedal before. And I went over to God City Instruments. I bought Kurt's business card here, which is also the PCB. And I also bought components from Small Bear Electronics, which comes with the whole kit to build the Brutalist Junior, which is the flagship distortion pedal of Ballou and God City Instruments. So I'm just here to document my time building it and the experience that I have. So let's get right into it. Here's an image of the first step. It's attaching those 3 diodes. It's deceivingly simple to a first-time pedal builder, but figuring out which component goes where and decoding the stripes on it, it can take a few minutes to figure out. So you're looking at about an hour's worth of work. The first step is to attach these diodes here, and the one end diode right there, which is black, and then these resistors, which are all blue, but they have stripes on them, and you have to sort them by color. And that is probably the most time-worthy process in the whole task of putting the resistors on. So right now we're populating the board, and we're gonna continue on right now. All right, guys, we got the IC sockets in. Next is sorting all the capacitors. All right here I am soldering all the capacitors on. It is integral to get all of your parts tight onto the board and to clip all those little legs on there and to just be really careful and not burning any of the contact points or the business card itself, the PCB itself. All right, guys, so this is where we're at. So this is probably about an hour and 45 minutes worth of work. You do the capacitors, which are these rounded orange components here, and the yellow components as well in that row. And then you got the IC sockets, which are those black things right there. And then the other capacitors here and here. And that was the whole population of the board there. So right now, I'm gonna work on the enclosure really quick. I'm just gonna basically just paint it black, maybe figure out some other kind of things I could do with it to make it a little more creative looking. But I have these decals here from One Piece, and I'm gonna put them on the enclosure here to be more of a homage to Trafalgar Law. Hey guys, so one thing I did that's a tip for you if you choose to spray your enclosure, to avoid overspray going into the enclosure, all I did was just tape the holes from behind. All right, so this is the back of the enclosure. It's painted black with epoxy paint. That's the Trafalgar Law sticker. And I got this one on the side, the Surgeon of Death with the Heart Pirates logo right there. And then finally the best sticker of all, right here on the top. So definitely looking forward to clear coating this and continuing on with the pedal. Tacto.
シャンブルズ。
All right, guys, we are fully wired here, including the LED, and we're ready to install into the enclosure. Here I am wiring up everything and kind of just situating everything inside of the enclosure. I think the hardest part was just lining up the pins to the PCB itself, the pins for the potentiometers, but other than that, it was a pretty smooth build, pretty smooth, fit perfectly, and I think it ended up coming out pretty clean for, as I said, a person with pretty nominal experience. All right, guys, everything's wired up. The pots and the input jacks, power source right there, LEDs right there. Everything is wired up. Switch is done. For my first pedal to ever be built by hand, I think I did a pretty great job. It looks pretty clean. Everything is just wired perfectly, I think. And it all looks great, and it's organized, and it's not, overcrowded or anything. Board fit well. It was kind of a pain to get the ends of the pots in, just to align them with the PCB, but other than that, and the bezel for the LED, that was kind of frustrating too. It kind of just sits there. It doesn't really snap into place, unfortunately. I don't know if I did something wrong or did something incorrect, but I think it could use an upgrade. But other than that, I mean, everything looks great. Let's see if it will switch on. All right, guys, this is the moment of truth. Let's see if it will power on. Look at that. We're alive here. All right, let's button it all up and do the sound test. This is a sound test with my 1974 Gibson Ripper, the Sun Coliseum bass, Aguilar 212, and an SWR 410, of course with the Brutalist Jr., and it ended up coming out really awesome with bass. With guitar, I found that the Brutalist Jr. is not really a high gain pedal. Still adds a lot of fuzz, still has a lot of distortion and volume and feedback, but definitely needs some tightening up as well. Maybe with the onboard gain or maybe a tube screamer or something like that. But it definitely sounds great with bass, and I still use it to this day on my board with my current band Thrall. So let's get into the sound test now. Let's see what this sounds like.